بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا وعظيمنا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع نفوسنا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وأصحابه الغر الميامين. الحمد لله الذي جعلنا من المتمسكين بولاية سيدي ومولاي علي بن أبي طالب. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. أما بعد، يقول الله في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. فمن حاجك فيه من بعد ما جاءك من العلم فقل تعالوا ندعو أبناءنا وأبناءكم ونساءنا ونساءكم وأنفسنا وأنفسكم ثم نبتهل فنجعل لعنة الله على الكاذبين. The first of our salawat in honor of Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The second in honor of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The third with your loudest voices in honor of the Imam of our time, Imam Sahib al-Asr wa zaman. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Respected scholars, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. For God to call you the self of the Prophet is without a doubt one of the greatest accolades bestowed upon Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, salawatullah wa salamuhu alayhi. An accolade bestowed upon him on the famous day of Mubahila. The event of Mubahila is without a doubt one of the highest attributes that was ever given to Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. You find that this event highlighted his superiority amongst all those who surrounded the Holy Prophet, in the idea that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to honor him in the Quran by not calling him a companion, but by rather praising him as the self of the Prophet. This particular attribute would be an attribute that would remain with him forever, and an attribute that was bestowed upon him at the age of 31. At the age of 31, while he was 30 years younger than the Prophet, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala identified him as the nafs of Rasulullah. And you found that this particular identification was an identification made to the Muslims, for them to understand that being a companion of the Prophet was one thing, and being Ali was another. Therefore, you found that when you come to examine the event of Mubahila, the event of Mubahila is a prestigious event for a number of reasons. The first reason is it's one of the few times when the five of Ashab al-Kisa all come together on one occasion. Many times people ask, when did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestow his praise on the Prophet, on his daughter, on his son-in-law, and on his grandsons at the same time? One of the events in the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lavishes praise on all five of them at the same time is the event of Mubahila. On the second level, the event of Mubahila is another of the verses of the Quran that was revealed in praise of Amir al-Mu'mineen. The event of Mubahila was revealed or came about in the 9th year after Hijrah. Up until that point, Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib had many ayahs of the Quran revealed about him. For example, in Surah 2 verse 207, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَشْرِي نَفْسَهُ ابْتِغَاءَ مَرْضَاتِ اللَّهِ. There are those who sell their soul for the pleasure of Allah, was revealed about Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen on the night of Hijrah when he slept in the bed of Rasulullah. For example, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِذَا نَاجَيْتُمُ الرَّسُولَ فَقَدِّمُوا بَيْنَ يَدَيْ نَجْوَاكُمْ صَدَقَةً. O you who believe, when you come to visit the Prophet, pay a sadaqah before you visit him. That was revealed about Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib as the only man. Up until that point, a number of verses of the Quran were revealed solely about Ali ibn Abi Talib. Sometimes people ask the question, why doesn't the Quran mention his name? Why do we have to infer that these verses are referred to Ali ibn Abi Talib? Well, the Quran doesn't mention any of the names of the companions of Rasulullah except one, Zayd. Other than Zayd, no other companion of Rasulullah has his name mentioned. But if you were to ask many people who is this incident referred to, you'll go to the world of hadith, and the world of hadith is unanimous. Tafsir al-Jalalain, a famous tafsir of our brothers from Ahl Sunnah, when it looks at Surah 3 verse 61, the ayah of Mubahila, says that this ayah, there is no doubt, was revealed about Muhammad, Ali, Fatima, Hassan and Hussein, salawatullah wa salamu alayhim. Therefore you find that in both Sunni and Shia literature, there is no doubt about these verses being revealed about Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. That therefore you find the Quran had lavished much praise on him in many a verse. Number 3, the event of Mubahila also highlights the political stature of Ali ibn Abi Talib. We said on the day of Hudaybiyah, Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib wrote the terms of the Hudaybiyah treaty, correct or no? Likewise, when it came to Mubahila, you'll see that nobody could write the terms of the Mubahila agreement except Ali ibn Abi Talib. In other words, Mubahila, when it is in the 9th year after Hijrah, is vital. Why? Because it's a year before Ghadir. Therefore, when it's a year before Ghadir, Rasulullah is making it clear. Don't just say Ali was chosen on Ghadir. There are many occasions before Ghadir where Allah has sent His blessings on Ali. One of them is Mubahila. Therefore, let's examine the event of Mubahila in order that we're able to understand the position of Ali in this ayah and how this ayah makes clear that nobody on the earth is as equal in his light and his origin to the Prophet like Ali ibn Abi Talib. And I'd like to examine this in the following stages. Number 1, what was the year of the event of Mubahila called according to the Arabs? And when did the Arabic calendar actually begin? And who began it? Number 2, what type of envoys came to meet the Prophet in that particular year? Number 3, what did the Prophet write in his letter to the Christians of Najran? And what made them come to meet him in Medina? Number 4, when they met him in Medina, what questions did they ask him? And what particular question did they ask him about Jesus being the Son of God? Number 5, when the Prophet said, tomorrow Allah has ordered me to bring my sons and my woman and myself, what did the companions all think about that particular revelation? Number 6, what did the Christian priest say when he saw the 5 of them, all of them together? Number 7, what were the terms of the contract between Rasulullah and the Christians? Number 8, how was the event of Mubahila used as a source of envy against Ali ibn Abi Talib later on? Let us examine in order that we understand this topic in complete depth. The year of the event of Mubahila was known according to the Arabs as Am al-Wufud. In Arabic, al-Wafid is a delegation. Wufud are the delegations. The Am al-Wufud referred to the year of the delegations. Why? When Islam was at its strongest state, the Prophet had now conquered Mecca. Mecca was in his hands, Medina was in his hands. In yesterday's lecture, we said Mecca had now been conquered. Medina had now been conquered. When they had both been conquered, now was the time where Islam was at its strongest. Because it was at its strongest, many non-Muslims who were living in the Islamic State were wondering and asking themselves one question. What is our position now that Muhammad has such a state? Are we allowed to practice as non-Muslims in a Muslim state? Will Muhammad torture us if we don't believe in what he believes in? Are we allowed to go to the church if we are Christians? Are we allowed to go to the synagogue if we are Jews? What is our position? Many of them were in a way wondering. Others were thinking, you know what? We've never met Muhammad. Our parents, our cousins, all of them have said to us, Muhammad's an evil man. All of them have said Muhammad's an arrogant man. All of them have said Muhammad's an aloof man. But we've got to meet the man for ourselves. Because nothing destroys a community like Chinese whispers, correct or no? If you look at any community in the world, the one thing that destroys reputations, Chinese whispers. The Prophet Muhammad was the victim of many rumors. Therefore, many people, when he conquered Mecca and he conquered Medina, Many people began to think to themselves, let's go and meet the man. When they came to meet the Prophet Muhammad, these different delegations came, but their levels of intellect were different. Please understand this delicate point. Us as Muslims should never close our doors from the likes of the Christians or the Jews or the Hindus or the Sikhs or the atheists. Our doors should always be open to welcoming them. Why? When the Prophet conquered Mecca and Medina, he didn't say, if a person doesn't believe in Islam, don't welcome him to the mosque. If a person doesn't believe in Islam, don't talk to him. Yes, the mosque, Masjid al-Haram, has its own laws. But outside of Masjid al-Haram, there's no harm us meeting, sitting, sharing food, breaking corn, breaking food on the table, sitting with each other. You find in our Muslim communities in America today, it's vital we go and approach the Gurdwara, approach the church, approach the synagogue, even approach the atheist community. Tell them, all of you come, let's sit down, let us talk. These people, what do? They started coming to visit the Prophet Muhammad. All of them were at different levels of their intellects. The skill of a man when he discusses anything, or the skill of a woman in any dialogue, is to know how to talk to people on their level, correct or no? Imam Amir al-Mu'minin says, make sure that you talk to their people according to their intellect. If I now come and these people come up to me, the way I'm going to make Islam interesting for them isn't by me using long words for an hour. It's by speaking to them up to their intellect. Many of these delegations began to come. When these delegations began to come, what happened? When these delegations began to come, they all came at their different levels. The first group who came, they came to the Prophet Muhammad. You know what the guy said to the Prophet Muhammad? He said, Salaamu Alaikum. Wa Alaikum Salam. He came, he welcomed him. He looked at him at that moment. He said, Muhammad, I want to ask you about Islam. He said, yes. He said, what do you think of the camel? He said, we respect it. It's the creation of God. He said, what do you think of sheep? He said, we respect it. It's the creation of God. He said, what do you think if someone steals camel and sheep? He said, that person is an oppressive person. He said, that's it. Islam sounds good to me. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. That's how simple. That Bedouin Arab who came doesn't know anything. All he knows is my camels and my sheep, correct or no? When that Bedouin Arab came, he didn't say, give me a philosophical, cosmological, Platonic argument about God. He came, he said, listen, I've got camel and I've got sheep. Someone steals my camel, what do you do to them? He said, they are to be what? They are to be held accountable. He said, that's it, I'm a Muslim. Others came, they said, we heard Muhammad's Arabic is the greatest. So they came towards him, Bani Tamim. They said that we have the best of the Arabic poets. Muhammad answered us back. He said, listen, here's the poet amongst us, Hassan bin Thabit. If you get past him, then come to me. Yes? They tried to debate Hassan in poetry. They couldn't. They said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. That's it. There was another group who were a very interesting group. I like this group, my dear brothers and sisters. Yes? This group came to the Prophet Muhammad. They said, Muhammad, what's your opinion about adultery? He said, not allowed. Interest? Not allowed. He said, okay, what's your opinion about alcohol? Not allowed. Gambling? Not allowed. He said, okay, very well. We want to join your religion, Muhammad, but please allow us to drink and gamble and charge interest, if you don't mind. He said, so what's left of the religion then? Yes, if you want to pick and choose everything in the religion. They came back a few days later. They said, Muhammad, we've decided that you are right. We want to join the religion of Islam, but please still allow us to drink if you don't mind. And there's one idol. We're going to remove all the rest of our idols in the house, but there's one idol called Allah. Do you mind if we still prostrate to it every few days? He said to them, no, you can't. He said, Islam means what? Islam means complete submission to the religion. Not I pick and choose. Today's Muslims face that problem. How? Today's Muslims are unbelievable, yes? Today's Muslims, you'll see him. Muharram, mosque. Ramadan, mosque, yes? Fasting, sounds cool. I'll do that. Prayers, yes. Other things, if I don't feel like them, don't tell me I have to submit to them, yes? I'll submit to what I think is rational. Habibi, who cares about your rationality, yes? As in, since when did someone care about what you think? When a person today in the Muslim world, Jabir bin Abdullah Ansari, comes to Imam Ali one day, he says to him, I saw a dream, a piece of cloth was coming down from the sky. What's the interpretation of this dream? He said to him, that's one of the signs of the Day of Judgment. That you'll see Muslims taking part of the cloth and not others. Meaning they'll take part of Islam and they'll reject other parts of Islam. Correct or no? Today in the Muslim community, you'll find some people fasting, excellent. Salah, excellent. When it comes to the wearing of hijab, you'll find the person turning around saying what? You know what, it just doesn't make sense to me right now, I'm not ready. Who told you the religion was waiting for you to be ready? Yes? Religion says Islam means to submit. It doesn't mean to say when I'm ready I'll turn around to you, oh God, oh yeah, now's the time, now I'll come and talk to you. Islam means to submit. Those Arabs came to visit the Prophet Muhammad, they said, listen, Muhammad, we'll join the religion, but a bit of alcohol, and if you don't mind, we just want one idol at home, it looks cool to have that idol. If you don't mind, allow us. The Prophet Muhammad turned around and said, no, Islam is a religion of complete submission. With submission, you'll gain certainty. Therefore, you found they came towards the religion. Banu Thaqif, who were trouble to Islam for many years, they came to meet the Holy Prophet. When they came to meet him, Ali al-Akbar's grandfather, Urwa bin Mas'ud al-Thaqafi, came to meet Rasulullah. Rasulullah explained to him the religion of Islam. When he explained to him the religion, Urwa went back to his people. He said, listen, I met Muhammad. All the rumors about him are not true. The man's a man of respect. His people ended up assassinating him. Yes? His people. And that's why Rasulullah said, Urwa bin Mas'ud al-Thaqafi is like the mu'min of Al Yasin. He went to his people, but they rejected him. Many of you have read Surah Yasin on a Thursday night, correct or no? وَإِذْ أَرْسَلْنَا إِلَيْهِمُ اثْنَيْنِ فَكَذَّبُوهُمَا فَعَزَّزْنَا بِثَالِثٍ. Yes? Then there's the ayah, وَجَاءَ مِنْ أَقْصَى الْمَدِينَةِ رَجُلٌ. Yes, the mu'min of Al Yasin came to warn his people about the disciples of Jesus. They rejected him. Likewise, Urwa bin Mas'ud al-Thaqafi went to his people. He said, listen, I met Muhammad. All of us delegations have gone to meet him for the first time. He's a good man. They ended up executing him. Sadly, instead of listening to what he had to say, they executed him. Therefore, many of these delegations came to visit the Prophet Muhammad. Sometimes, however, what would the Prophet Muhammad do? He'd write letters to people he hasn't met. Yes? Sometimes a great leader doesn't wait for people to visit him. A great leader is someone who turns around and says, I'll go and visit the people, correct or no? The Prophet Muhammad began to write letters. He wrote letters to whom? He started writing letters to the different heads of religions. One of the letters he wrote was to a Christian community in Najran, on the borders of Saudi Arabia and Yemen. When he began to write these letters, he wrote to these, and he began the letter as he always begins. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This letter comes to you from Muhammad, the Prophet of God, the Messenger of God, sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. We believe in the Lord of Abraham, the Lord of Isaac, the Lord of Ishmael. I beg all of you, when you are talking to non-Muslims, you're talking to Christians, talk with the common denominators that we share. Yes? We share Prophet Ibrahim, we share Prophet Ismail, we share Prophet Ishaq. When you write a letter to a non-Muslim, there is no harm at the beginning of the letter saying, oh lover of Abraham, Isaac and Ishmael. It's a form of love between us. He wrote a letter. The letter written on his behalf said, in the name of God, the most beneficent, the most merciful. This is from Muhammad, the messenger of God. We who believe in Abraham, believe in Isaac and Ishmael, I ask you, O Christian community, to come towards the worship of one God, to not put partners to God, to not take lawgivers besides God. I invite you towards the religion of Islam. I am now the head of the state. You people are living in our state. I give you 3 options. Listen to the options if you don't mind. The first option, I invite you to become Muslims. If you don't want to become Muslims, remain Christians, no problem. But pay the tax for living in the state, yes? Otherwise, you're living on usurped property today in Allentown, and if you're living in your house, can you get away without paying the taxes or no? There's a land tax that you have to pay for that particular house, correct or no? If you turn around to the government and say, you know what, who do you think you are making me pay land tax? They'll tell you, I'll tell you who we think we are. First ticket to Guantanamo and you'll never see it again, correct or no? That person who tries such a thing can't. A person who's living in an area has to pay the land tax. The first option for the Christians, become Muslims. If you don't want to become Muslim, I understand. You don't believe in me and Prophet of God. Then do what? Then pay your jizya. Arabic, jizya, in English is the tax, correct? So he said, at least pay what? Number 2, pay your jizya. Number 3, if you don't accept Islam and you don't even want to pay your jizya, then war will be waged against your community. Yes? Someone says, what's wrong with the Prophet Muhammad? He's a man who spreads his religion by the sword? Not at all. Any country, if you are living within that country illegally, not paying the taxes towards the government, not contributing to the government funds, And you know, if you pay a tax, if I pay the tax now in America, doesn't the American army have to defend me from all outside attacks or no? Isn't that the rule? In Islam, if a non-Muslim lives in a Muslim country, when they pay their taxes, it is obligatory on the Muslim soldiers to defend the non-Muslim living in that country. Whether he is Jewish, whether he's Muslim, Christian, must be defended by the army of the Muslims. In Iran today, there is a Jewish community, correct? In Iran, a prevalent Jewish community. They're either mainly in Iran or in Manhattan. That community that you find of Jews, where are they? In Iran. Does the Iranian army have to protect them? Yes. Someone says, but they are Jewish. Not at all. They are citizens of the state. They should have equal rights as everybody else. But if they're going to live, if now you're going to live in America, you're going to live in that house and you turn around to the government and say, I'm not paying nothing, then the government is going to do what? The government's going to punish you, there's going to be a prison sentence. When the Christians received this letter, there was an interesting conversation that happened. The Archbishop of the Christians of that area, now that Christians of that area, do you know how many they were? 40,000 Christians used to live on the border of Saudi and Yemen, yes? 40,000 Christians. And the sadness today in Saudi Arabia, there's not one church, yes? Today, Saudi Arabia, and I always say anyone who gets involved in politics, I beg you say this one thing. There is not one church in Saudi Arabia, and they say Saudi Arabia is the country of democracy, yes? The country of happiness and freedom. Not one church in Saudi Arabia. In Iraq there are churches, in Iran there are churches, in Lebanon there are churches. Not one church in Saudi Arabia. Yet subhanallah, which country gets defended the most? Anyway, so when he wrote this letter, the Archbishop of Christianity looked at the letter, he turned to one of his advisors. The Archbishop of Christianity, he turned to his advisor and said, listen, he said, this letter is something different. What do you think about it? His advisor said to him, listen, I would normally advise you on worldly affairs, but when it comes to prophethood, I can't give you an opinion. He said to him, why? He said, in the Bible it says, there will be 12 princes from the line of Ishmael in the book of Genesis. He said, I cannot deny that Ishmael's line will have prophethood. And the Bible doesn't just say prophethood, it says there will be 12 from the line of Ismail. I always stress this in my lectures. Moses had 12, Jesus had 12. Every Muslim has to believe the Prophet had 12. Who the 12 are, it's up to them. Bukhari says, Rasulullah said, after me there will be 12 khulafa. Whoever they are, it's up to you, but you have to believe in the number 12. So he looked at him and said, listen, I'm not going to deny the prophethood. I can't talk because in the Bible it says Ishmael's line, Allah promises it prophethood. So the priest says, what do? We go and meet Muhammad? He says, we're going to have to. He said, okay, Shurahbil, come here. Abdullah bin Shurahbil, come here. Jabbar bin Fayd, come here. 3 famous priests of Christianity. He said to each one of them, he said, all of you come here. They came. He said, go all of you to Medina, go and meet the Prophet Muhammad. These Christian priests all went off on their journey to meet the Prophet Muhammad. What was the aim? They wanted to see, this man's a real prophet or no? Or is he the Antichrist? You know, whenever people tell me Muhammad's the Antichrist, there's something I never understand. If he's the Antichrist, why would he praise Christ? You know, when sometimes they say the Prophet Muhammad is the Antichrist, he's the devil. I've never seen a devil who has a whole book praising the man before him, correct or no? Yes? The devil would want to attack Christ, not praise him in the Quran. They came to meet the Prophet Muhammad, they came to Medina. When they came to Medina, they entered Medina. As they entered Medina, they were all in the finest robes, garments, diamonds, jewelries, all crusted. They came towards the Prophet Mosque. They're looking around, where's the Prophet Muhammad? They can't find him. They're looking around, they can't find him. Until they found the Prophet Muhammad. When they found the Prophet Muhammad, what did they do first? They found Uthman bin Affan and Abdurrahman bin Auf. They came towards them. Salaam alaykum salam, peace be upon you. He looked at him. He said to him, where is Muhammad? He said, I'm not sure. Go and ask that man there. Ali ibn Abi Talib was sitting down. They came towards Imam Ali. They said, where's Muhammad? He said, and who are you? They said, we are the Christians of Najran. We have our own Kaaba called the Kaaba of Najran. We live on the borders of Saudi and Yemen. We have come to meet Muhammad. He looked at them and he said, the garments you've come in are not the garments of humility. When you come, don't come and wear your robe and your silk and your diamonds. Come with a bit of humility when you come and meet a man like him. Tomorrow, come back with a bit more humility, I will take you to him. The next day, the Christians came, they came and met the Holy Prophet. When they came and met the Holy Prophet, they sat with him. They came and sat next to him. They looked at him. Are you Muhammad? He said, yes. He said, welcome, O Christian group. Where are you from? They said, we are the Christians of Najran. You wrote us a letter saying to come towards Islam or to pay the tax. We are now here. Can we speak to you? He said, by all means. They said, Muhammad, we want to ask you a question. He said, yes. He said, who's Moses' father? He said, Imran. He said, who's Joseph's father? He said, Jacob. He said, who's your father? He said, Abdullah. He said, who's Christ's father? He said, will you wait for the answer? They said, we'll wait. He waits for the revelation to bring him the words exactly to answer them, correct? The revelation brings in Surah 3 verse 59. إِنَّ مَثَلَ عِيسَى عِنْدَ اللَّهِ كَمَثَلِ Adam. The example of Jesus in the eyes of God is the same as that of Adam. Because he looked at them, he said, who do you believe Jesus' father is? They said, God, yes? He said, why? He said, because Jesus did not have a father. And because Jesus what? Because he didn't have a father, God must be his father. At this moment, the Prophet looked at them and he said, we believe Jesus is what? The Prophet of God. They looked at him and said, but how? He never had a father. So he must be God. God must be his father. He looked at them and he said, no. If you're saying Jesus is the greatest because of what? Because of the fact that he had no father. Adam had no father or no mother. Correct or no? Many Christians today come and ask me and they're like, Jesus is greater than Muhammad. Say, why? Say, because Jesus had no father, so he must be greater than Muhammad. I say, listen, that makes Adam greater than all of them. Adam had no father or mother. Correct or no? Who then deserves to be called the son of God? Doesn't Adam deserve to be called the son of God? Adam had no father. Surely he should be the son of God. When he said that to them, he said, if you're saying Jesus should be the son because he had no father, Adam had no father. Do you accept my rationality? They said, let us think it over. They then come back to him. You know when they came back to him, you know what they said? They came back to him, they said, Muhammad, you have given us what you've given us, but we don't accept what you say. We believe Jesus is the Son of God. Please listen to what he says to them. He says, so you are saying that you're adamant on your Christianity? Yes. And you're adamant that you want to remain on it? Yes. And how about paying the taxes of the state? We're adamant on our ways and we're going to remain a government within a government. He said, so are you certain about Christianity being God's religion and that you don't believe I'm a prophet? He said, no, we don't believe you're a prophet, you're a good man, but we don't believe you're a prophet. He said, you're confident about your religion? They said, yes. He said, very well. Are you willing to enter a Mubahila? We celebrate 4 Eids in the year, don't we? Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Adha, Eid al-Ghadir, and Eid al-Mubahila. He said, are you willing to enter a Mubahila? What's a Mubahila? You believe you're the people of God. We believe we're the people of God. Let God curse whoever is wrong. Let God curse whoever's wrong. Are you ready to enter? They turned around to each other and said, yes, we are ready to enter. Where? Said, on the outskirts of Medina we'll meet. You bring your best, we'll bring our best. The Quran revealed to him Surah 3 verse 61. فَمَنْ حَاجَّكَ فِيهِ مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَكَ مِنَ الْعِلْمِ فَقُلْ تَعَالَوْا نَدْعُ أَبْنَاءَنَا وَأَبْنَاءَكُمْ وَنِسَاءَنَا وَنِسَاءَكُمْ وَأَنفُسَنَا وَأَنفُسَكُمْ. I beg all of you listen to the words. Those of you, those who dispute with you, after the proof has come to them, say to them, we'll bring our sons, you bring your sons. Yes? We'll bring our woman, you bring your woman. We'll bring ourselves, and you bring yourselves. That was what he told the Christians. Then he said, فَنَجْعَلْ لَعْنَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَى الْكَاذِبِينَ. Allah's mercy will be withdrawn from whoever's lying. Yes? Either us or you. You know, the companions that night, all of them were thinking, I wonder who he's going to take. Yes? Who's he going to take? Imagine all these companions are thinking, who's he going to take as his sons? Who's he going to take as his woman? Who's he going to take as his self? His self is the biggest honor. Why? For the Quran to label someone as the nafs of Muhammad is the highest honor a human can get on earth. Yes? Because the Quran says, وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَىٰ خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. That means whoever is your equal is of sublime morals as well. The Quran says you are rahmatan lil alameen. That means whoever is your nafs is also a mercy to mankind. Yes? Whoever is going to be titled the nafs of Rasulullah, Allah is saying him and Muhammad are in equality in my eyes. Yes? So all these companions, all of them were gathering together. Who's Rasulullah going to take tomorrow? It's a huge event. Christianity claims it's the path. The Prophet Muhammad says, you reject me as a prophet, let God invoke a curse on whoever's the liar. I am so confident of my prophethood, I'm willing to enter a Mubahila. So the Quran said, bring your sons, we'll bring our sons. Who does Rasulullah take as his sons? Imam al-Hasan, Imam al-Hussein, salawatullah wa salamu alayhima. The first lesson from Imam al-Hasan, Imam al-Hussein being taken to Mubahila is Rasulullah saying, put your children at the front of your religion, yes? And at the front of your community. You know Imam al-Hasan, Imam al-Hussein on the day of Mubahila, do you know how old they were? They were 5 and 6 years of age, yes? Imam al-Hussein on the day of Mubahila was 5. Imam al-Hasan was 6. Rasulullah could have easily turned around and said, these are kids, let the kids play, yes? On the contrary, Rasulullah wants the kids at the front because he recognizes the kids are our future, correct or no? When I come to communities today and I see kids being thrown around in a room like a jungle, what's this? Kids being thrown around, what are our kids? Wallah, look at our dedication to our kids on mathematics, on science, on English, on the languages. We're spending so much money, we forget on when it comes to the religion of Islam. When there are children coming to a mosque, where's the 15-year-old, 16-year-old, 17-year-old youth to go and give back to those kids what he received from the elders? I see parents today coming to the mosques, throwing their kids like their kids are animals. And then at the age of 20 they come to us, how can I make my child religious? Do you know how many followers of Ahlul Bayt became religious at 31? How many became religious at 36? How many became religious at 42? Why? Because as children, they weren't coming to the mosque to learn. They were coming to the mosque as a social club. Rasulullah put Imam al-Hasan, Imam al-Hussein at the front of Mubahila. You think Rasulullah doesn't know Hasan and Hussein are 5 and 6 years old? He wants to send a message from a young age. Let the children be the forefront of the religion. Put all your concern. Number 2, the ayah says, bring your sons. Hasan and Hussein are his sons or grandsons? Grandsons. So when he's saying sons, what's it saying about them? Rasulullah doesn't view Hasan and Hussein as grandsons. He views them as his own children. Yes? It's a distinct honor. Do you know how many fights happen because of this honor? Muawiyah comes one day to his servant Dhakwan. He says to him, what do people say about Hasan and Hussein? He says, the people say that Hasan and Hussein are the sons of Rasulullah. I said, how? He said, because they say the ayah of Mubahila says they are his sons. Muawiyah said, you can't be the son through the daughter. If they were the sons of his son, they could be called the sons, yes? But when they're the sons of the daughter, they should be called the grandsons. The Quran said, I'm sorry, Sayyid, I didn't know you'd get so emotional over such an issue, yes? I won't ever answer you like that again. The Quran says it was the day of Eid. Muawiyah comes to me, he says, the Quran, go and give all the Eid presents out to my sons. He said, I gave all the Eid presents out to his sons. A day later, he said, the Quran? He said, yes. He said, I told you to give all the Eid presents to my sons. He said, Master, I did. He says, but how about my daughter's sons? He said, with Fatima's children, you said they can't be called sons. How about your daughter? Yes. Muawiyah, you say Fatima's children can't be called sons because they're from the daughter. Whereas when you want Eid presents for your grandsons, when it's through the daughter, you call them sons. I remember even further than that, someone coming to Sa'id bin Jubair. Hajjaj told Sa'id bin Jubair, he said to him, what's this they say Hasan and Hussein are the sons of Muhammad? They're not. They're the grandsons. Sa'id bin Jubair said, no, he called them the sons according to the ayah Mubahila. Allah said, bring your sons. He brought Hasan and Hussein. They are his grandsons, but Allah sees them as the sons of the Prophet Muhammad. He said, that's impossible. You can't be called sons through the mother. Sa'id bin Jubair gave him an answer. He said to him, what do you mean you can't be called sons through the mother? He said, because the line has to go through the father. Allah honors you when you go through the father. Sa'id bin Jubair looked at him. He said, can I ask you about the following prophets? He said, yes. He said, which prophets? He said, can I ask you about Ismail? How is he related to his father? Son. He said, how about Ishaq? Son. Dawood? Son. Sulaiman? Son. Very good. He said, how's Jesus related? He said, through the mother. He said, now where's the problem with being related through the mother back to someone? Yes? He therefore looked at him and he said, what's wrong with your Arab arrogance? If there is a person who's the son of the daughter, you can still call them sons. And if Allah on the ayah Mubahila said what? He said, bring our sons. Hasan and Hussein were seen as what? Hassan and Hussein were seen at the forefront of the religion. They were seen as the sons of Rasulullah. That's why many times Rasulullah says, Hassan and Hussein are my sons, not my grandsons. Yes, they are the flowers of my eyes. Therefore the Quran said, bring your sons. Rasulullah brought Hassan and Hussein. The Quran then said what? And bring your woman. Now someone says, but listen, said Ammar, who did he bring as this woman? He took Fatima al-Zahra, salawatullah wa salamu alayha. Wait. The Quran says bring your woman. He took one woman. The Quran saying bring woman. It said when nisa'ana wa nisa'akum, correct? If it's bring your woman, how could he take one? He should bring more than one. Because all the women alive don't come near the dust of Fatima al-Zahra, yes? All of these wives he could have taken. Do you know how many wives of Rasulullah were alive at the time? 8, 9. All of them were alive. None of them comes near Fatima. Fatima bad'atun minni. Yes? Fatima is a part of me. Fatima is the mother of her father. Number 2, when he took Fatima al-Zahra at Mubahila, do you know what he's saying? He's saying there is no harm women being involved in the political system as long as they don't compromise their values. Because in our communities, when Benazir Bhutto was leading Pakistan, or when, what's her name, was leading Bangladesh, the name escapes me now. When they were both leading, you find our people were saying, look, woman, politics, haram. What do you mean haram? Habibi, don't open your mouth on areas which aren't your profession, yes or no? I see the pharmacist become a Maulana. I see the economist become a Maulana. I see the lawyer become, let the Maulana be the Maulana. When you see everyone coming together and say, woman can't be in politics, woman can't be in the forefront, woman can't be with na mahram when it comes. Habibi, wait. Fatima al-Zahra, Rasulullah doesn't know when he's taking her out of the house to go and meet Christian envoys. Rasulullah doesn't know that this is the lady who's the purest lady in Islamic history. Rasulullah could have said, listen Fatima, you're a housewife, stay at home, you can't work, you have to cover yourself, and you got to lock yourself at home and never see the light sky. Not at all. Bring Fatima to the forefront of the political world. Let Fatima train in the political world. Let Fatima's voice be heard in the political world. Rasulullah, Allah ordered him, bring your woman, don't leave them behind in the political aspect. Some people used to come to me in different communities, they say, can women vote in a jama'at or no? Can women participate? I'm like, what's wrong with it? They're like, well, you know what, we're used to men only. Habibi, Fatima al-Zahra came at the beginning of politics. Fatima al-Zahra was at the front. How could you not hear the voice of your daughters? The voice of your wives? The voice of your aunties? It's not the mother that makes up that house. It's not the mother, the pillar behind that house. When Rasulullah brings Fatima al-Zahra, what's he doing? He's saying to the whole world, if ever there's a day you say Muslim women are oppressed, I take my daughter Fatima with me. Yes? That was number 2. Number 3, what then happened? وَأَنفُسَنَا وَأَنفُسَكُمْ. And bring yourselves and we'll bring ourselves. Question, Ya Rasulullah, who do you view as your nafs on the earth? Yes? Who do you view as created from the same light as you, Ya Rasulullah? Who do you view as being as pure as you? Because this is fundamental. Why? Because when I read the books of history today, what do they say? Sahaba, Abu Dar Ghafari, Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas, Talha, Abu Bakr, Ali. Wait, calm down, wait. So where are you going? Ali ibn Abi Talib is not a Sahabi of Rasulullah. Ali ibn Abi Talib min nafs al-Rasul, yes? He is from the nafs of Rasulullah. All these companions were waiting. Muawiyah comes to Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas one day. He says, Sa'ad? He said, yes. He said, why don't you curse Ali ibn Abi Talib? This hadith, by the way, if you want to Google it tonight, it's available. You'll find it within Bukhari. The hadith is clear. Google it, yes? Muawiyah asking Sa'ad, why don't you curse Ali? In Pakistan today, in Saudi Arabia, you know what they say? Amir Muawiyah. Radiyallahu anhu. MashaAllah, yes? This is the stupid history we have in our books, yes? Maybe one day we'll burn these books, inshallah, with all this nonsense, yes? Amir Muawiyah, radiyallahu anhu, asks Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas, radiyallahu anhu, why don't you curse Ali ibn Abi Talib, radiyallahu anhu? This is going to be quite a Jannah we're all going to go to, yes? Because I don't want, that's the Jannah, well, put me somewhere else, don't put me in Jannah, yes? Because if people who hate each other are in Jannah, Baba, I want to relax in Jannah, not I want to have a headache in Jannah, yes? He says to him, why don't you curse Ali ibn Abi Talib? He said, I don't curse Ali ibn Abi Talib for 3 reasons. The first of them, on that event of Tabuk, Rasulullah said, Ali is to me like Harun is to Musa, yes? The second of them is the day of Khaybar. Rasulullah said, I'll give a banner to a man. Allah and me love, and he and me love Allah. He gave it to Ali ibn Abi Talib. The third of them, the event of Mubahila. That Rasulullah said, I'm going to take my nafs, and that Ali ibn Abi Talib was the nafs of Rasulullah. Yes?
Haydari! 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 Muhammad wal Muhammad salawat!
The nafs of Rasulullah. That's why Ahmad bin Hanbal, the famous Sunni Imam of fiqh, was asked, who's the best companion? He narrates the hadith from Abdullah bin Umar. Abdullah bin Umar was asked, who's the best companion after Rasulullah? He said, Abu Bakr. He said, after him, he said, Umar. He said, after him, he said, Uthman. They asked, how about Ali ibn Abi Talib? He said, Ali ibn Abi Talib min nafs al-Rasul. Ali ibn Abi Talib, the ayah Mubahila said he's the nafs of Muhammad. When you talk about Sahaba, don't put Ali ibn Abi Talib in that bracket, yes? Just because Umayyah and Abbas want to put him, our hearts know where to put him, correct or no? You can put as many Umayyads and as many Abbases and as many father of cats to write books. None of them will remove the love of Ali ibn Abi Talib from our hearts. Therefore, if Rasulullah turned around, he said, Salman, he said, yes. He said, go out, prepare for us an area. Me, Ali, Fatima, Hassan and Hussein, we're all going to go. They all went together a year before Ghadir, yes? To make it clear to every Muslim, don't come next year and say, I didn't know. A year before Ghadir, they all went outside, all of them together. They came together, and then the Christian priest, there was about 60 of them. The Christian priest, the night before they came, do you know what they said? They said, let's say, I'm going to make one thing clear to all of you. The Archbishop said, if Muhammad comes with his companions, then we'll definitely take them on in a Mubahila. But if Muhammad comes with his family, I will not take them on. Because if a man is willing to sacrifice his family, you know that man believes in the truth of his religion. Sometimes the Christian sees what Umar bin Sa'ad couldn't. This is the history that we have. That Christian said, if he brings his family, then what? If he brings his family, we won't enter. Subhanallah. He came out that day, yes? He came out, Fatima al-Zahra next to him, yes? Imam al-Hussein by his chest. Ali ibn Abi Talib with Imam al-Hassan. All of them walking towards the Christians. The Christian priest turned around, he said, oh Christians, we will not enter this Mubahila. They said to him, why? He said, because the amount of light that shines from those five faces, if it told the mountain to move, the mountain would move from its position. Yes? مَا خَلَقْتُ سَمَاءً مَبْنِيًّا وَلَا أَرْضًا وَلَا yes? And we didn't create none of these mountains or skies except for the love of these five. Al-Muhammad, correct? He said if their light is so powerful, if it told the mountain to move, the mountain would move from its position. They came to Rasulullah and said, Ya Rasul, oh Muhammad, we may not believe in your prophethood, but we are Christians, we want to live, we'll pay the jizya. Rasulullah called Imam Ali. There were other companions who are older than Imam Ali, correct or no? Other companions who later people said they are better at politics than Ali. I've never seen them write anything politically except Ali. Hudaybiyah Ali, Mubahila Ali. How many more political treaties Ali? He said Ali come, Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib came, he wrote the treaty, he said the Christians will pay, give a certain amount of clothes to the state of Medina, and they'll give a certain amount of horses, a certain amount of camels, and that will be the tax that they pay for living in their area. They can continue to worship in their churches, and no one can stop them, yes? They can continue, no one can stop them, no one can harm them, no one can get in their way, yes? And that is the honor that was bestowed upon the Christians that day. And from then on, Islam allowed Christianity to stay within the Arabian Peninsula. There is no harm. The Christian worshiping Allah. Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib one day was walking, someone looked at the church. He said to him, I wonder how much shirk is in that church, how much polytheism. He said, I wonder how much Allah is worshipped in that church. You see the difference? A cup half empty and a cup half full. Ali ibn Abi Talib's foresight is a cup half full. Give the benefit of the doubt to those who love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Try and say that the number of ways to Allah is the number of breaths that you breathe. Yes? There are many ways to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore you found the ayah said that bring your sons and our sons, we'll bring our woman, you bring your woman, we'll bring ourselves, you bring yourselves. Then the ayah said, فَنَجْعَلْ لَعْنَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَى الْكَاذِبِينَ. Someone says here the word la'nat. Are we allowed to do la'nat in Islam or no? Because the ayah ends with the word la'na. Firstly, la'na doesn't mean curse. La'na means withdrawal of mercy. Yes? On these PowerPoint presentations, the mosque said, curse Ibn Ziyad, curse Abu Sufyan. It should say withdrawal of mercy. Cursing in Arabic is sab. Sab is not allowed. Cursing in the word sab is not allowed. You can't use derogatory remarks about anyone. La'na is in the Quran. La'na on the kadhab. La'na on the zalim. La'na on the munafiq. La'na on the kafir. La'na means, Ya Allah, it's a dua. Ya Allah, withdraw your mercy from that individual. Therefore, la'na, can it be done? Yes. Did the prophets do la'na? Nabi Isa, Nabi Dawood, the Holy Prophet himself, all of them done la'na. Did the Imams do la'na? The ziyarats of the Imams are clear proof of la'na. Can I do la'na anywhere? No, there's a time and place for any tabarra. I have someone from another school of Islam sitting next to me, I do la'na on the people they love in front of them. That's not akhlaq, correct or no? There's a time and there's a place. But be careful that that la'na doesn't bounce back on you, correct? Because some of us are good at doing la'na. We don't realize the angels are sending la'na back on us, correct? In which way? When I do la'na on someone like Shimr. Why? Because Shimr bin Dil-Joshan used to do what? Used to oppress the people. How about if I'm oppressing my community members by backstabbing and gossiping and backbiting them, yes? Maybe the la'na comes back to bounce on me as well. If I do la'na on Umar bin Sa'ad, because Umar bin Sa'ad used to eat and engage in that which is haram. What if I'm doing haram every day? Doesn't the la'na bounce back on me? If I do la'na on Yazid, because he had musicians around him in Sham, while Imam al-Hussein was lying on the ground in Karbala, how about if I'm the type of guy who can't have a wedding without music, or can't enter a car without music, or can't sleep without music? What's the difference between me and Shimr bin Dil-Joshan and Yazid bin Muawiyah? Yazid used to love the musicians. What's the difference when I put 100 musicians in my wedding, or 100 musicians before I have any celebration? Be careful the la'na doesn't bounce back on you, trust me. Because there's many of us, the la'nas bounce back on us a number of times without us realizing. But does that mean we stop the la'na? Never. La'na is part of tabarra. Never should it be stopped. You should ask Allah to withdraw your mercy. Why? Someone says, but hate is not allowed in Islam. No, if I love truth, I hate falsehood. If I love justice, I hate injustice. If I love Rasulullah and his family, I hate those who oppressed his family. Yes? Those 5, you found them in Hadith al-Kisa. إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد. Those 5 Ashab al-Kisa, in that incident they were 5. On the day of giving away the food, وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا. They were 5. On the day of Mubahila, they were 5, correct? And some say, should we stop doing la'na on Yazid? The reply is never, for 2 reasons. There are some who say we should stop. Why? Because Allah might forgive him. The poet replies back to them by saying, they say to me, stop doing la'na on Yazid, because Allah may forgive him. Therefore I do double the la'na. Because if Allah is willing to forgive Yazid for killing Imam al-Hussein, then he'll forgive me for doing la'na on Yazid, correct? That's on the first note. On the second note, the la'na and ziyarah should never stop on Yazid. Because those 5 in Mubahila, Rasulullah, Ali, Fatima, Hassan and Hussein, only 50 years later, Hussein lies on the ground in Karbala with his body surrounded by the arrows of Bani Umayyah. Yes, alone on that ground, no one to protect the holy body of Aba Abdullah. I tell you, you'd think a body would remain in one piece. Imam Zayn al-Abidin narrates, when I began to walk towards the body of my father, Aba Abdullah. He said, I saw a finger on the side of the body of my father. I went to pick up the finger of Aba Abdullah. It was the finger where the ring of Rasulullah used to be placed on that finger. That grandfather of Hussein had placed the ring on his hand when he was a young boy, yes? What did they do to him? When he died on the 10th of Muharram, a man came to rip the ring out of his finger. He couldn't. He took a knife out and chopped the holy finger of Aba Abdullah, yes? Imam Zainawdi says, I gathered that finger and then I turned around to Bani Asad. I said to them, I beg all of you, bring me a prayer mat. When Bani Asad came, they thought the Imam wanted to pray his salah. And they said to him, Zain al-Abidin, do you want to pray your salah? I said, no. Then why do you want a prayer mat? He said, so I can collect the pieces of the body of Aba Abdullah and gather them all in one area. There was a finger on one side and a hand on the other, and the chest alone on the ground. Normally, those of you who buried your father, it is a sunnah to put his cheek on the side, isn't it? I want all of you to take back to when you buried your father. When you buried him, didn't you put the cheek to his side? How did Zain al-Abidin bury Hussein with no head? Yes, there was no head of Aba Abdullah. He gathered the body of Aba Abdullah, he placed it on the ground. Just when you thought he had finished, Banu Asad came up to him. They said, there's one more body to bury. He said, which one? And they said to him, there's a body by the Furat, alone with no one to bury it. When we lift the left side, the right falls on the ground. And when we lift the right, the left falls on the ground. He called out, Assalamu alayka ya Qamar Bani Hashim ya Abul Fadl al-Abbas. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all of your tears and give you that soft heart that's able to shed tears for Aba Abdullah. It can be a struggle, but boy, when you have it, it's a different feeling. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to raise us with Muhammad and Al Muhammad. Ya Allah, allow us to finish the seerah of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. Tomorrow night is the night of the strike on the holy head of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Ya Allah, allow us to honor that night and allow us to be raised with Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib on the day of judgment. Ya Allah, allow us to sit by his grave in the land of Najaf. Allow these cheeks to rub themselves on the grave of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Ya Allah, our brothers in Iraq, bring peace to them. Our brothers in Lebanon, bring peace to them. Our brothers in Syria, bring peace to them. Our brothers in Bahrain, bring peace to them. Our brothers in Afghanistan, bring peace to them. Our brothers in Pakistan, bring peace to them. Our brothers in the Hijaz, bring peace to them. Our brothers all around the Islamic world, any of them who are facing oppression, our brothers and sisters, Ya Allah, remove the oppression that they face. For our dear brothers Haji Safdar and Haji Shaini, Ya Allah, allow them a fast, speedy recovery. With the ayah of the Quran, let us all recite together with our hands raised, inshaAllah. So Allah brings speedy recovery to all the Muslims who are in a state of illness, all of your family, your cousins, relatives, anybody who you know very well. Ya Allah, let's recite the ayah together. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Amma yujibu al-muftarra idha da'a wa yakshifu as-su'. Amma yujibu al-muftarra idha da'a wa yakshifu as-su'. Amma yujibu al-muftarra idha da'a wa yakshifu as-su'. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. Ya Allah, in the name of the one who was ill at Karbala, Imam Zain al-Abidin, cure all of our loved ones. Ya Allah, allow us to sit by the grave of Zain al-Abidin in Jannat al-Baqi'. Ya Allah, remove the oppression that the Imams of Jannat al-Baqi' face every day. Ya Allah, allow us to see the holy grave of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the Surah al-Fatiha, but before it, the loudest of your salawat.